Hello, and welcome to the Sarasota County League of Women Voters Candidate Forum for the County Commission. My name is Carol Hartz, and I am the president of the Sarasota League of Women Voters. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan public policy organization that encourages informed and active participation in government. Our candidate forums are held under our education fund, a nonpartisan 501c3 corporation with a mission of voter service and education. The League accepts both women and men as members. The League does not support or oppose political candidates or parties. Today, we welcome 4 candidates running for Sarasota County Commission. The candidate from District 1 is Democrat Mark Pienkos. Republican Michael Moran was invited but did not respond to our invitations. The candidate from District 3 is Democrat Corey Hutchinson. Republican Nancy Dietert was invited but did not respond to our original invitations and declined our rescheduled forum invitation. The candidates from District 5 are Republican Ron Kutzinger and Democrat Alice White. The participation or absence of a candidate in no way implies the Sarasota League's support or opposition. If you are a registered voter in Sarasota County, you can vote in the general election for a candidate in your district. Let's review the forum rules. The forum will be recorded and posted on our website and other media outlets as determined by the League. The recording is the property of the League. Written permission must be sought for the use of the video, which may not be edited or altered. Every candidate will be asked the same questions. Candidates should answer all questions within 1.5 minutes, other than the introduction and summary, which will last for 2 minutes. Our timer will display a warning when 15 seconds remain and a red stop when time is up. I will rotate which candidate begins answering question by district. Questions were developed by the Sarasota League and submitted by voters. Any opinions expressed tonight are those of the candidates and not of the Sarasota League. This forum will be conducted without rebuttal. We ask all candidates to speak only for themselves and not to provide insight into their opponents. We look to candidates to help us understand their policy positions, problem-solving skills, and values so that we can make better choices as informed voters. And now to begin. The order for the first question will be Dr. Pienkos, Mr. Hutchinson, Mr. Kutzinger, Ms. White. And that question is, please introduce yourself and describe your qualifications to be elected to the Sarasota County Commission. Dr. Pienkos, will you begin, please?
Thank you, Carol, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for this invitation to not only share my own views, but also the other candidates' views on this important commission election. Again, my name is Mark Pienkos. I was born in Chicago. I received a bachelor's and master's degree from Northern Illinois University, and then the equivalent of a second master's degree from the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee in the area of educational leadership. And then I received my doctorate degree from the University of Southern California, again, specializing in executive or educational leadership. I've always been involved in community life. My wife and I, who have just celebrated our 48th wedding anniversary, we've always been involved with our community, whether it be in our children's schools, whether it be in our community, our church, civic organizations, as well as also in politics. I had a 45-year career, I believe very successful career in education. I was a teacher, a school counselor, an assistant principal, and school superintendent. And during those years, I think what I learned was the importance of working together with my students, with their parents, with my staff, with the community, and when I was a school superintendent, with my school board. As far as involvement nationally, I'm actually a past president of the Wisconsin School Counselor Association, 1,000 members, and then Midwest vice president of the American School Counselor Association, which is 23,000 members. Presently, I'm national vice president for the Polish American Congress, and also we are involved here locally with the Meadows Homeowners Association. I'm an elected board member. So I'm looking forward to this discussion tonight. Thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you. Mute, please, Dr. Piankos. Mr. Hutchinson, if you'll unmute.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting us. It's an honor to be here and be with all these great candidates. I'm Corey Hutchinson, and I'm running for Sarasota County Commission District 3. I have a master's degree in business administration and a bachelor's degree in English. I work currently as a college and career advisor at Laurel Nokomis School. I'm a proud member of the Lightning family, and we do great work with our students and our families, and it's been an honor to work with such great community members. This is my 4th year in that position there. We have a great community, and I've been proud to be a part of it in a few different ways. I'm the chairperson of the Northport Charter Review Board. I am the board president of Holly's Hope of Northport. We are a local nonprofit that is working to provide mental health resources. Specifically, we are targeting right now students and veterans to improve mental health resources in those areas with those folks. I'm also a General Advisory Council member to the MSA Coalition. They are a national nonprofit. They just held their national conference last week. I was honored to be able to moderate a segment of their conference last Saturday. And I have been a member of this community for my entire life. Community service is a passion of mine, and it's what drives me not only to run, but to want to do better for the community and want to give back to the community that I grew up in. I believe so highly in our area and our region and all that it can be. And I believe that if we work together and bring the best people together, we will succeed in the future and have a great future for Sarasota County. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kutzinger.
Yes, well, I tell the story about marrying my high school sweetheart. She had just had her 17th birthday. I just had my 19th. And I borrowed $10 from my dad, true story, pay the justice of the peace. And we got married, packed everything in the trunk of the car, not much more than a couple of changes of clothes really, and moved to Florida. That was in 1973. We landed in Sarasota County. Our first home was a little mobile home in Venice Ranch Mobile Home Park, and we've been here ever since. Very thankful to have landed in Sarasota County. It's where we really grew up together. It's where we raised our family. We began a little restaurant in Inglewood in 1974, converted a little office building into a 29-seat restaurant, and we've been here ever since. Love Sarasota County. I love the people I've been blessed to work with. I've been very fortunate to be involved in the community in a lot of ways. I have a wealth of experience. Several successful businesses. I am a financial advisor. I've been one for the past 30 years. I'm an SEC registered investment advisor and a securities principal. And I manage millions of dollars for individuals and organizations and nonprofits. I have proven leadership skills, president of many organizations, president of nonprofit, president of Friends of the Library, spokesman for Legacy Trail Referendum, chairman of the Carly Brusha Memorial Committee, and on. And I have county level experience on a number of advisory boards, including the Library Advisory Board, the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, and also then the past 4 years on the Sarasota County Planning Commission. And during that time, as I've noted, we did a complete update to the Sarasota County Comprehensive Plan and also did the UDC. So worked with staff for many years, a vast wealth of experience that qualifies me to serve as next county commissioner in District 5. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. White.
Okay, yes, hi, Alice White, and I'm running for Sarasota County Commissioner District 5. I want to start off by saying that I truly believe we need to have smart development that respects both our environment and our wallets. I feel strongly that the focus of our Board of County Commissioners needs to return to putting the interests and the needs of the people first and serving the people first. And I will do just that. I am not encumbered to anyone except you, the voters, the people of District 5, who can be assured of my allegiance because my campaign has not been financed by developers and special interests. I came to Northport in 1990. I have one son, Jake, who was born and raised here, and he has his own business here. I retired in 2018 after teaching for 36 years, high school algebra, and then elementary school in Inglewood. I have developed a deep sense of community that included serving on city and county advisory boards. And these were take action, boots on the ground involvements that didn't consist of just sitting and taking up a seat once a month at a meeting. My hands-on approach extended to a number of nonprofit boards that I've served on, including the Lemon Bay Conservancy, when the Wildflower Preserve property was being acquired in Inglewood. And in 1997, I formed my own 501c3 nonprofit group called People for Trees. And we've been hosting an annual tree festival here in Northport since 1999 and the Tour de Northport bicycle ride since 2010. I've been involved with rewrites to the Unified Land Development Codes and comprehensive plans, both at the city and county levels. I took on the role long ago of being the people's advocate, speaking out about our quality of life when large-scale development projects came before our local governments. I was a Northport Citizen of the Year. And as Sarasota County Commissioner for District 5 and one who has been involved conscientiously for 30 years, I would bring the people's voices to the table. And in particular, we could put to rest, oh, sorry.
You're
Yeah.
good. Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right.
I didn't
For our next question, the order of rotation will be Mr. Hutchinson, Dr. Pienkos, Ms. White, and Mr. Cutzinger. And this question is a two-parter. If elected, what would be your highest priority goal for your district and then for the county as a whole? So your highest priority goal if elected. And Mr. Hutchinson, if you will unmute yourself and start, please.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. For my district, which is mostly Venice and some of Northport, including the West Villages, we have to focus on the infrastructure, and that ties directly into the environment. We have had many sewage spills in that area, and it's not all the city of Venice. Some of that, actually a lot of the infrastructure that has leaked and had issues has been old Sarasota County infrastructure. We have to get that under control. So we're going to work with our federal leaders, with our state leaders to get as much funding to help fix the infrastructure as possible. And it's part of it's the sewage treatment facilities and the water facilities, but it's also the actual infrastructure itself. We have to fix that. If we continue to have the spills that we've had, we are going to end up with a really bad time with red tide in the future, like we had a couple of years ago. And if we have another red tide outbreak on top of the economic concerns from COVID, those businesses that serve our community are going to be in serious trouble. And I don't want that to happen. As far as the county goes, we need to work together with our cities and our communities again. We need to make sure that each area is getting equitable treatment. North County gets a lot of things from the Sarasota County Commission. We need to bring that into South County and make sure that that is equal for all regions of our county and make sure that we're representing everyone equally. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Pienkos.
Thank you. Excellent question. Two questions. Locally in District 1, again, we go back to 2018 when single-member districts were created. What a wonderful opportunity now for the residents, the voters in District 1 to elect their representative on the county commission who will listen to them. Unfortunately, we have seen that at the county commission level with keeping the country, the folks in Old Myakka are wanting to not have urban sprawl, concerned about their historical lands. And then on the other side of the interstate, you have the folks in Newtown who were disenfranchised because of the gerrymandering, the redistricting decision that was made last year. So I'm going to be a good listener. I think that's paramount for any representative, and I will be a good listener. Countywide, I share the concerns that I have been hearing about the environment. Someone once said, I think it was on one of these Zoom calls, the economy equals the environment and vice versa. We have to protect the environment. There's so many things that are happening that really cause alarm for all of us. And as has just been mentioned, the COVID-19 crisis and the economic concerns that have now occurred, we have to attack that. And my experiences as a school superintendent will definitely help. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. White, you'll need to unmute yourself.
And there we go. Thank you. Yes, I think as a district, we need to get back to, like I said in the beginning, having our Board of County Commissioners be more representative of the people. And that means making that connection. Going over this campaign, doing this campaign, I have discovered that people didn't even know who their county commissioner representative was. They didn't even know what does the county have to do with the city of Northport, municipalities. And I think that's because there's been a real disconnect. There hasn't been town hall meetings. There hasn't been a way for people to really connect with their representatives. And that has to happen. I'm a very approachable person. I have worked with the people, again, for decades here, and being a teacher, learned all kinds of ways to team build. That was a must every single year, having a new class, new parents, sometimes new team members in your grade level, and also sometimes new administration. So you had to learn how to get along with people. And as far as the county goes, yes, the environment has to come first. I think Sarasota County should be the environmental role model in how to protect our environment, since everything here is based on our environment. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kutzinger, if you'll unmute. There you go.
Yeah, I'll touch on two things. For my district in particular, I really believe we need to focus on providing affordable housing. I think especially in the Northport area, we've got a younger median age there. We've got a workforce, and they struggle every day just to pay the rent and pay the bills. So we've really got to work on affordable housing for my district. That was something I heard knocking 2,500 doors and talking one-to-one people. But for the county, I think we've really got to focus right now on where we're at, and that's a full and complete and strong recovery from the pandemic, economic vitality and strength, prosperity. That means a lot of things. That means obviously keeping people safe. So we've got to really support our law enforcement to keep people and businesses and streets safe. We've got to work on bringing jobs to our community. That's another thing that I heard talking one-to-one people in my district, but also I think across the county, we've got to really focus on bringing resilient, durable, high-quality companies, businesses, and jobs to our community, because we saw in red tide issue and also now with COVID, tourism and just a few things we have here fund our economy. Well, we've got to bring more businesses and jobs to be able to weather things like this. So those two things, focused on affordable housing for my district, but across the county, making sure we cover strongly and emerge strongly from this pandemic.
Thank you, Mr. Kutzinger. And you will begin. I see you're quick to mute yourself, but you'll be first up to bat in the next question. And the order of rotation will be Mr. Kutzinger, Ms. White, Dr. Piankos, Mr. Hutchinson. The next question: what is your position on the current process by which the public participates in the consideration of growth plans in Sarasota County? What changes would you make, if any? Mr. Kutzinger?
Okay, well, there's a pretty robust process. I think, the idea that we have neighborhood workshops is really a key. That's where I saw a lot of communication going on. And I would really, if I had one thing to focus on, it would be strengthening that process of neighborhood workshops and making sure that people are very aware and can attend those things to understand what's being proposed. Once it goes through the neighborhood workshop, then it does go to the Planning Commission. I would strongly recommend for areas of rezone that we make sure people have the ability to see the fact that there's a rezone going on, that they're well noticed, and that they can participate in that, because everyone has the opportunity to come and speak to the Planning Commission. It's where these things are vetted and we find out what the issues are and can work through those so that the changes that we might make come to the surface. And then there's another, once that's done, then there's another, the other opportunity for them to come forward and participate in it, and that's during the Board of County Commissioners. And so everyone has that privilege of being able to speak and speak to it. Strongly recommend that when people do come forward and participate in that process, that they really do so in a way that gets them involved. So yes, I think that those things help people be involved in the process of growth.
Thank you. Ms. White.
Thank you. I think the process is in place. There's all of these levels of where how people can be involved with the workshops. And yes, we have the public hearings and we have the Planning Commission. I think though that the problem is listening to what the people have to say and respecting what they want. What comes to mind is the recent Rural Heritage Amendment that was proposed by citizens, and watching that Planning Commission meeting, I was very disheartened at how the people were almost thought of to be somewhat of a nuisance, that they would have the nerve to bring an amendment, a citizen-driven amendment to the comp plan to the table. But government is supposed to be for the people. And I know that, again, we have a process in place, but it has to be respected as far as the people are concerned, that they need their whatever they're saying has to be respected and taken into account. I think we have the right process, but we just need to have county commissioners who are going to listen to the people and put their interest first. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Piankos, if you'll unmute. Yeah.
Yes, I think this whole issue of single-member districts provides an excellent opportunity now for the commissioner in that particular district to keep people informed about issues that are going to affect certainly people in their district, but also throughout the county. And my skills that I have built over the years, building partnerships, good communication with various people, bringing people to the table to discuss issues. Not all issues are easily solved, but they're solved in a better way when everybody understands what's at issue and what's at stake. And so I think what is crucial is to make sure that the commissioner from the district that they are representing really makes a tremendous effort to keep in good contact with their constituents. Town halls, listening sessions will be a great help in that regard. And basically also smart growth. One of the hallmarks of smart growth is bringing people in at the front end so that people understand what are the issues, what are the potential consequences of development, and to get people's ideas. And so that's what I will do. Listen to people. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hutchinson.
Thank you. I think that we need to respect our citizens, and that's one of the biggest things that I see now. You look at last week or a couple weeks ago where they were having a meeting on the old Mayaca and keeping the country. We had citizen activists, not just online, but in person, speak up for their community, and they were turned away. The commission did what they wanted. You see the issue with the redistricting. Thousands of community activists not only protested, but sent in emails, made comments, went to the meeting to make public comments in person, and the commission did it anyway. Some of the commissioners even acted as though the people were being annoying for bringing their voices forward. That's a bad government that does that, and we need to get back to government of, by, and for the people. The growth and planning, the people need to have the most instrumental role in that, because it's their community that's going to be affected by the type of growth that we approve or deny. The redistricting amendments, anything like that moving forward needs to be driven by the people because they are going to be affected by it. I think single member districts will be great to moving better representation forward, and we need to return the people's house back to the people.
Thank you, Mr. Hutchinson. For this fourth question, the order will be Ms. White, Mr. Cutzinger, Mr. Hutchinson, and Dr. Pienkos. The question, if elected, how would you prioritize allocation of a second round of CARES Act funding and assure transparency in that process? Ms. White, please begin.
Okay, good question. Yes, we have seen some of the shortfalls of this round of CARES funding. One was that the true mom and pop businesses were left out of the loop just because of the complicated application process. And I know they're working on that now, but there's still that would be first, that those mom and pop businesses, giving them the resources that they need to fill out those applications, providing the necessary things that in order to submit the application and the financial records that they need to have. That would be something that I would like to see put in place for that. Also, what somebody shared with me, a business owner here in Northport, is that she was using her savings to make up for what she wasn't taking in revenues for every single month for the cafe that she runs. And she said that she wasn't eligible for any of the CARES funding now because that was only for money that they were in arrears for, that they owed to their landlord or to their vendors. And but that is putting her behind for the future. So I'd like to see that addressed for the second round. Thank you.
Thank you. Hutzinger.
Yeah, mom and pop businesses, small, medium-sized businesses are the lifeblood of our economy. We absolutely have to make sure that they survive. And I would prioritize those funds going to the hardest hit industries. Several of them, some of our area businesses like restaurants and others have actually already closed, and I hate to see any more of that. So I would prioritize that. I think I would want to see as much money as possible go to some of the mental health providers in our community who are providing an excellent service. And right now, people are struggling here. You know, this has brought on not only the health issues, but the depression and the other issues that come from being, you know, locked down, just the normal things that come along with that. So I would definitely want to see that money prioritized to them. And then I think also the arts and culture is an area where I think, you know, people need some refreshing and renewal, and that comes through the arts and culture aspect of our community. That's a huge part of the quality of life that makes Sarasota what it is. So I would like to see us get as many dollars to those organizations as possible. I think there's ways to expedite that. And those people that are receiving, for example, some tourist development dollars have already kind of qualified as those who are worthy of money. So I think there's ways to look at this and see how can we speed it up and get it to the best places possible as soon as possible.
Thank you. Mr. Hutchinson?
Thank you. We need to make sure that this second round is much more efficient than the first round. As Ms. White said, they are working on it now, but it has come too late for some businesses, unfortunately, because of how long it took for them to get that funding. We need to make sure that we look at those mom and pop shops, the small businesses that have been the backbone of this community for so many years. They need to get that funding and make sure that they can keep our economy going. Without these businesses and the backbones of our community there, we will have severe economic troubles in the next budget cycle. We really need to make sure that they get that funding. As far as transparency, we need to be open and honest about the process and help people as best as we can get through the application process. If they are having trouble, we need to make sure that we are not just explaining how the process works, but also being there if it goes badly. How can we help to make it work to ensure that you get that money? It is critical to our economy. We've had a lot of nonprofits do very good things. We need to make sure that they get that funding as well, and that they continue the good work that they're doing, and also step up on our end of providing some of those services as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Piankos.
Well, I'm just going to say the following. I think there needs to be a sense of urgency. I said this before. I watched the commission meeting in July. I watched the commission meeting in August. I watched the commission meeting in September. When the CARES Act funding, this is $18.9 million coming from the federal government to help the small businesses, employees, nonprofits, etc. I just didn't see a sense of urgency. I got to tell you, as a school superintendent, when I had a board to report to, if I had a situation going on where 1 month went by and I talked to the board about something, about what I was doing, and then I came back the next month and said, kind of the same, and then I'll tell you, my board wouldn't be happy with me. And I think this is where the problem comes up. Like, we have good people working in county government, but there needs to be a sense of urgency. And where that comes from is from the county commissioners, who basically say, act with a sense of urgency, not recklessly. We have to be careful about how we spend the money. But the point is that we have to realize there are people hurting. And so there needs to be a sense of urgency to get those dollars out. So that's what I would say about this particular issue.
Thank you. For the fifth question, Dr. Piankos, you'll begin this, then Mr. Hutchinson, Mr. Cutzinger, and Ms. White. And the question, if elected, what changes would you advocate to prepare for the anticipated $45 million revenue losses in fiscal 2021 due to COVID-19? And again, we will begin with Dr. Piankos.
This is a horrible time, not only in Florida, specifically in our area, our country, the world. We are facing something that none of us had ever anticipated. And it's not something that we're going to see a sort of a light switch turned on or off, that all of a sudden we will return to what we would consider to be normalcy. So therefore, it's going to be essential that we work in partnership with various groups, as well as also the various municipalities, because with a shortfall, we can't do business as usual. We're going to have to make some tough decisions. And as I have mentioned before, I've been in positions over the years where I have had to make those tough decisions. I'm a fiscal conservative. I know that sounds a little like an oxymoron. I'm a Democrat. No, wait a minute. I'm a fiscal conservative, and I understand how decisions have to be made that are going to cause perhaps impact with some people's lives from the standpoint of realizing you can't have everything. We're going to have to watch out for our discretionary spending. We're just going to have to be really good watchdogs of the taxpayers' money because of COVID-19. And even if COVID-19 didn't even occur, we still need to be very, very watchful over our taxpayers' precious dollars.
Thank you. Mr. Hutchinson?
Thank you. And we are heading for an extremely tough year, especially as it relates to the budget, but also to what our families and what our workforce is going through, and our small business owners. And we need to keep that in mind, I think, at the forefront of every budget decision that we make. We're going to have to do some tough things. Perhaps some projects may not get completed as quickly as they were originally scheduled to, and sometimes that's what has to happen. The first thing we need to do is ensure that all of our services that we provide to our residents, that they've come to expect, that they pay taxes for, those services need to stay at the high level that people have come used to seeing. We have to make sure our first responders are taken care of. We have to make sure that the needs of our staff are taken care of, and the needs of our community. Then we can move into the projects and see which ones take priority and which ones don't. We need to work within our cities to also understand that they are going to have budget shortfalls of their own. So we need to work with them before we decide to pull out of parks agreements and other things like that. We really need to work with our cities to see how that will affect them, because at the end of it, we have not just the people in unincorporated county to be responsible for, but all those in the cities as well that are still paying county taxes, and we need to make sure that they are getting a high level of service as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cutzinger.
I would be interested to find out where the $45 million figure came from. Not sure that that's accurate. I don't know that we'll know for a while. But of course, I think we need to be very serious and we need to prioritize our capital expenditures. And I think some of those projects are going to need to be paused. I think they've taken that action and they've paused about $5 million of capital projects that were scheduled. We may have to scale some of those back, and some of the things we'd hope to do may have to be, done a little bit later. We should, of course, review discretionary spending and make sure that where we can make cuts safely, that we do so. I think we need to maybe implement a temporary freeze on non-essential hires. And I think these are things that the commission is working on moving forward on. And then, of course, I think we could allow for staff reduction through attrition. I would much rather do that than see anybody lose their job. Obviously, we would want to keep everyone working. And then I just also, for me, this county has a AAA rating, which is astonishing. It's the highest rating you can get. We just did our recent bond here at 1.63% and $200 million in reserves. So we need to continue that legacy of fiscal conservatism, fiscal discipline, and fiscal responsibility.
Thank you. Ms. White?
Yes, thank you. Yes, we knew that we were going to see revenue shortfalls as a result of our tourist tax revenues being down, and some of the projects that we are now in debt to, such as the rowing facility and the baseball stadiums, they were put in place with the understanding that any operations, monies for operations would come from those tourist tax revenues, because the assumption was that tourist tax will always be here. Somebody sent me some figures last week that the rowing facility is now up to $1 million a year that we're paying out of our taxpayer funds for something like that. And that's what's going to happen. And it was mentioned before that some of these other projects that have been on the table for consideration, such as the Moat Aquarium and the Bayfront, the Bay Park with the big performing arts center. Again, these things really need to take a back seat for a while until things get somewhat, hopefully, back to normal. But again, the needs of the people need to come first. And I believe that those decisions where the budget should be cut should come from the county commissioners and not from the county administrator. Jonathan Lewis is a great guy. He was the city manager here, but he shouldn't be making those decisions totally on his own. Thank you.
Thank you. For the sixth question, the rotation will be Mr. Hutchinson, Dr. Pienkos, Ms. White, and Mr. Cutzinger. The question, number 6, is what changes, if elected, what changes would you make, if any, to the current method used by the County Commission in redistricting? And Mr. Hutchinson, you're first up to bat.
Thank you. The current method that was used with this redistricting, where they accepted the map of a convicted political criminal to redraw these maps in the middle of an election cycle, was absolutely disgraceful. It was a slap in the face to the public procedure that we know to be what goes on for redistricting, which is you go through a census, you get your population numbers, staff works to create new fair maps, and then you have a redistricting if required by state statute. That's the process we need to follow, is the one already set out in state statute. Wait for the census, which we know is the most accurate population numbers that you can get. It was very disappointing how this current redistricting was done. It was extremely disheartening to see all of the citizens that spoke up and spoke out, and they still did it anyway on a 3-2 vote. We really need to bring back the people's voice. Let's wait until after 2020 we get the census results. 2021 we go through the redistricting process and we redistrict if needed. before the next election. That's the proper way to do it, and that's the way that we need to do it moving forward. The way it was done now disenfranchised all of Newtown, it disenfranchised thousands of others, and it's very unfortunate to a transparent public government. Thank you.
Dr. Piankos?
Thank you. My district was greatly affected. The redistricting that took place after the citizens had voted to create single-member districts, District 1, as it turned out, was a Democratic district. But the effort to redraw the lines in District 1 to make it more favorable to the incumbent, again, disenfranchised 8,000 voters in Newtown. Really, really bad. But what made it worse was the fact that not only the procedure that was used, but also the fact that hundreds of people came to many, many meetings. I spoke at one of the meetings that basically said, wait for the federal census, which is going to take place in 2020, to redraw the district lines. Well, you know what could happen? Unfortunately, the citizens of Newtown cannot vote for a commissioner this year. And it's possible that the federal census may decide to move Newtown back into District 1. If that happens, they can't vote for a commissioner in 2022. Not good. They should not have done anything, waited till the federal census, and allowed the chips to fall where they may. That's where I feel.
Okay, and I'd like to remind the panelists that this question deals with changes that you would make going forward. So, Ms. White, if you'll be up next, please.
Yes. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. I didn't see my yellow box come up. Sorry. Yes. I read that something like 60% of the voters wanted to see single member voting districts. And it really really alarmed me when our sitting Board of County Commissioners went through such great lengths to undermine what the people wanted. And 60% means that it was across the board. It wasn't just a particular political party, that all people really wanted to see this, and especially here in Northport, because we have been underrepresented for decades. And the change that I would make, I would like to see Northport be represented in one district. We already have had issues with the West Villages not feeling connected with what I call Northport proper, because yes, they are 3 miles up the highway. It was a concern that I had 20 years ago when those annexations were taking place, along with some other people, that it would be really hard to create cohesiveness with us when they geographically are so far apart. And now that they're in a different district, it really kind of made that even worse. So I would at least like to see Northport all be within one district. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cutzinger. Ron, you're muted.
Gotcha.
There you go.
Yeah, I think I agree that 2021, we're going to redistrict. I think we're required by law to do so after the census here. And the key will be lengthy, deliberate process of making sure that we get a lot of community input and involvement in the process, making sure that the districts are equally balanced. It's very important. Prior to single member districts, it wasn't a key issue because you voted for all 5 of your commissioners. Now that you vote for 1 out of 5, it makes it vital and critically important that those districts have an equal number of voters so that you have a fair distribution. 1 vote in one district is equal to another vote in the other district. That's a very important issue. So the census, I think, will be the key for us. And then we will use that census information to do a very deliberate, careful process in drawing maps that are equal. And I would like to see them be as compact and contiguous as possible. And then get a lot of community input, and then do what is best for the county in equalizing those districts in our redistricting process.
Thank you, Mr. Cutzinger. This will be our last question before our summary, and the order will be Mr. Cutzinger, Ms. White, Dr. Piankos, and Mr. Hutchinson. And the question is, what is your position on growth in eastern Sarasota County, including future land use of the 6,000 acres east of Interstate 75 and north of Fruitville Road? And Mr. Cutzinger, if you would start us off, please.
Well, 2050 was designed so that we could avoid urban sprawl. And what the concept there was, I think, very noble concept, is to say, let's do this in a way that will protect the environment, where we can do things like allow for a 60% protection, 60% open lands and protection of the environmental features that make it such an amazing place. And at the same time have growth that it's smart, and it allows for walkability. It brings goods and services closer to where they're needed, and creates that neighborhood kind of experience. So I think it would be great to follow those plans, make sure that we're building neighborhoods that are based on the new form urban style development, that new urbanism that brings goods and services, things like some commercial centers, parks, trails, uses modern mobility, deals with traffic issues that way, and creates wonderful neighborhoods in which to work and live. So I think it accomplishes that purpose, and that is the kind of development I think we should continue to pursue.
Thank you. Ms. White?
Yes, the 2050 plan was supposed to prevent urban sprawl, but it went through some major gutting over the last 5 years, and all of those noble ideas and efforts seem to have gone out the window. First of all, when they're planning roads that are going to a new north-south road that was moved even further east, that is just going to promote more urban sprawl, because we know that roads always bring in more development. I remember when I was commuting from Northport to Englewood for 23 years when I taught over there, and 776 was 2 lanes. And then when it became a 4-lane divided road with a second bridge over the Myakka River, that whole area in East Englewood just exploded, because that's what roads do. And so I don't see how we can say we're trying to curtail urban sprawl when we're going to build a road that is even further east, going through even nature preserves. I understand it is just totally against what we said we were going to do, and that was to have these urban centers where people can walk to stores. It doesn't seem to be happening. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Piankos?
Thank you. That's why we're hearing "Keep the country country." That's the battle cry of being so concerned about urban sprawl. You know, the area we're talking about is about 10 miles east of the interstate on Fruitville. So, you know, all the infrastructure that will have to take place, the amenities, that's what urban sprawl is all about. And there's a concern about that because the environment is going to be taxed to the max. You know, 70% of the population lives west of the interstate, 30% east. There's going to be development, but the key is, how do we develop these lands? And again, keep the country country. Be concerned about historic lands, but also be concerned about we talked about it, urban sprawl. You mentioned a moment ago about the roads that are being built. They're going to be promoting more of that urban sprawl. So we have to be very concerned about this. If we're not, we're going to be short-sighted. We're going to be short-sighted from the standpoint that we'll have building, construction, congestion, environment being attacked, short range, but the long range impact is going to be huge. So we must be very, very concerned about urban sprawl and development east of the interstate.
Thank you. Mr. Hutchinson?
Thank you. We have heard from the members of the community in Old Mayaca and east of 75 that they want to keep that area country, keep the country, keep it rural. And we need to respect that. Here's the deal. We know that when we respect our communities, they will thrive. We respect each section of our county, it will thrive. And each section is different. You can't do the same things in downtown Sarasota and do the same things in east of 75, the same thing in Venice and Northport. Each community has its own unique charm, its own unique designs, and we need to respect that. The folks who live out there have made it very clear they don't want urban sprawl. Our county has not done a thing to slow it down, and none of their decisions that they seem to be making now are slowing down that urban sprawl. We really need to balance the growth and the preservation. And one of the consequences, if you don't, is that when you start pushing against the environment and the natural design of those lands, it's going to push back. And that's when you get consequences environmentally and economically. We need to respect not only the land, but respect the people out there and respect their wishes and work as hard as we can to make sure that the development, any that occurs, respects that community in that region. Thank you.
Thank you. Finally, we come to our summary question, which is why voters should vote for you. The order of rotation will be Ms. White, Mr. Cutzinger, Mr. Hutchinson, Dr. Piankos. Ms. White, and you have 2 minutes, please. We're switching to a 2-minute time frame.
Okay, thank you. Well, I want people to know first and foremost that I care. I care that there has been a real disconnect between our elected officials and the people that they should be serving. I would honor the position of what it means to be an elected official, to serve and represent all of the people. I don't have my own agenda. The people will determine my agenda. And I will bring my 30-year history and varied experiences of being continuously involved in my community to the dais. I care that the people of Northport in particular, the largest municipality in Sarasota County, do not have a seat at that county table. We need to have smart development that is both financially and environmentally sustainable. And we have to be more realistic about the way we're impacting our natural environment. I hear this all the time because our environment is everything. It's why we have all these discussions about growth and development. It drives our economy. And we are all environmentalists because an environmentalist is one who understands how the environment impacts us and how we impact the environment. And like I said before, Sarasota County should be the environmental role model and set the standard for protecting our natural surroundings. So you, the voters, have a clear choice. You can vote to have the same old, or you can vote to have a new direction, one who will really put the needs of the people first, as I have been an advocate for the people for the 30 years I've lived in Northport. I will listen and I will care about all the people of Sarasota County, and I will care about you. Thank you for having this.
Thank you. Mr. Cutzinger.
Well, I'll end where I began. I love Sarasota County. I'm so thankful I landed here. I wake up every morning, and frankly, almost every day, I thank God for being a part of Sarasota County. I did a community survey last year, and they found that 95% of the respondents said that they're satisfied with the quality of life here in Sarasota County, and 95% of them also said they're satisfied with the level of government experience. It's been called the crown jewel of the West Coast, rightly so. And that's why do so many people want to move here? I mean, think about the quality of life. We have world-class amenities. We wake up every day to this beautiful natural surrounding, the beaches, the parks, the preserves. We have 180 plus square miles of protected lands in this county and 55,000 acres of parks and 160 parks. We're building the Legacy Trail. We're doing the Bay Park Conservancy. We're doing everything to enhance and expand that experience even more. It's only going to get better. So I am really thankful to be a part of this county, and I'm excited about continuing a legacy of financial strength and quality of life and economic diversity and vibrancy. I say this often, that elected office should be a calling, not a career. That's exactly what it is for me. I don't need a job. I'm not looking for some political position. I have no aspirations on higher office or anything like that. I simply, after having served in so many different community organizations, boards, advisory boards, and other areas, I simply want to take that experience and finish out a lifetime of community service, serving this wonderful county that I love. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hutchinson.
Thank you, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting us. It's an honor to be here, and if this is the last forum that we have for this election cycle, it has been a lot of fun. It's an honor to be a candidate for Sarasota County Commission, and I'm just thinking of the honor it would be to be elected. We need to return government back to the people. We need elected officials who not only show up for forums, but who also hold town halls, who listen to the people. We may not always agree, and you don't always have to agree with everything every citizen says, but you do have a duty to be respectful and honor your position. I will work hard every day, not only to fight for you and your interests as citizens, but also fight against the special interests that are trying to run this county. I will fight to balance growth and preservation. I will fight for not only the needs of my district, like infrastructure, getting a hurricane shelter into Venice, working to protect our Gulf waters, but I'll fight for North County, for South County, and everywhere in between. We need leaders who have the passion and the drive to do what is right. I'm in this race and running to be elected to do what is right, not what's easy. I will fight the fights that I need to fight to do what's right for you. I will honor this position. And you have a decision coming up on November 3rd that this county government will either be controlled by the special interest or it'll be controlled by you, the voters. And if you want it controlled by you, and if you want an elected official who is beholden to you, and you like somebody who's a moderate in the middle, I'm your guy, and I'd be honored to have your vote. I am unbought and I am unbossed, and I will work for you every step of the way. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Dr. Piankos.
Well, some great closing statements there. And I also want to thank the League of Women Voters for conducting this forum. Great job. You know, my wife and I, we love Sarasota. We've been coming to Florida ever since our honeymoon, 48 years ago. We spent our honeymoon in Florida. And over the years, we've grown to love the Sunshine State. And we eventually wanted to live in Sarasota. And we've been investing ourselves constantly being involved. I think what's really important is that here we have a crucial election. They're all critical elections, but in this election, I ask all of the voters in District 1, as well as obviously throughout the county, to think locally. District 1 voters, think locally. You have a chance to exercise your voice. And that's what's the beauty of our system, where you have a chance to take a look around, and as you look at thinking locally, are you satisfied with the decisions that are being made, whether it has to do with redistricting, whether it has to do with our environment, development, congestion, how we're even spending those CARES Act funds not in a sense of urgency. You have the chance. This is what the beauty of our system is. And so I ask everyone in District 1 to strongly consider voting for Mark Piankos. I'm not building a political career. I've had a successful career. I'm here to share my talents, to bring people together, to work together, to make Sarasota County an even greater place to live, where we can all enjoy a beautiful life together, where we're listening to each other and working together to make Sarasota County a tremendous place to live. So I thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you. Candidates, thank you for your participation. I'd also like to personally thank you. We had to reschedule this forum, and this was the most cooperative, easy to work with group I have ever worked with, and I'm really very grateful. Thanks to our volunteers, including Linda Thompson, Villia Johnson, Nancy Morrison, and Rob Burgess. Viewers, if we were unable to ask your questions, all of these candidates are in Vote 411 at vote411.org. Their contact information is there. Please feel free to contact their campaigns and ask any questions that you were unable to ask. Finally, remember that your vote is your voice. The Sarasota League sincerely thanks you for being with us, and good night. Bye-bye.